I wasn't always a screw up. I don't want people to think that, but I dealt with grievance and it wasn't always the most healthy way. I was not making the best decisions at that time. I'd lost my best friend, one relationship after the other, trying to fill voids with anything and anyone that was just not the best time of my life. I'd been involved in the bar business, had a bad business deal, things fell through, what have you. I was at rock bottom. Not long after I'd lost my dad, I'd moved back home. My mom and my sister and my nieces, and they needed me more than I needed to be out on the road acting a fool every night in a different town. Was bartending, and she actually came in the bar on a date with another guy. As soon as I saw that woman, I was not going to let her leave. She told me, if you want to see me, this is where I go to church. I sit in the back row by myself. See you there. And I started going to hang out with this chick that I was in love with. The second time that we went to our now home church was the second time. I'm sitting in the crowd, and great message, but after the sermon, they turned up the lights. It ended up being a guest speaker. The guy starts calling names and doing this Miss Cleo stuff. I was instantly turned off, and sure enough, whose name gets called? Yours truly. And I'm like looking around. There's got to be another Toby in here, right? It was powerful, to say the least. In a nutshell, it was like, man, you are a dreamer. You've forgotten to dream, and where you're at and what you're doing is not where you're supposed to be. From that moment on, I've never been the same. Instead of playing sex, drugs, and rock and roll, I was now playing for, a whole new purpose. And I'd never witnessed even music like that. It was deep. Dude, she's getting out in 2 minutes, so I guess I better run and get her. Y'all are more than welcome to ride along if you want. I'm Toby Brohlin. I own Cadillac Creek Outfitters in Amarillo, Texas. We specialize in ducks, geese, cranes, and all things waterfowl. When I came back home after my dad passed in '09, I found a healthy way to fill that void that I'd been trying to fill, and luckily a group of guys took me in under their wing and let me hunt with them on the weekends. And pretty quickly I saw an opportunity to pursue a passion again, and the field kind of became my stage. It's an expensive hobby, and I thought, man, maybe I can take some buddies hunting or take some guys hunting here and there and just pay for the addiction, essentially. I honestly never dreamed that it would be near the size that it's grown to be. They say dream big, and that's all I've ever done, is be a dreamer. I was 16, I think I was 16 years old, and I walked into a tattoo shop hoping that they would help me design an album cover. And that led to a job working behind the counter, which led to a job learning how to pierce, which led to a tattoo apprenticeship and all these things. And it was just, the two went hand in hand. Rock stars had tattoos. So when I started Cadillac Creek, we started just before the Big Duck Dynasty craze, and as cool as that was, it brought a lot of popularity to the sport. People are, myself included, me and my family were sitting in front of the TV laughing at Uncle Si every week and looked forward to it. It was like the family date night or weekly thing that we did, and so many people were like that. But it put duck hunting on the map. Well, we had already started the business, so I'm lucky enough to be like, yeah, it's cool, right? But that's what I do, and that was a super cool thing. But I feel like it also, for a period of time, if you didn't have a big beard, wear an American flag bandana, if you didn't fit their mold or the mold of granddad and, you know, old mossy oak camo or what have you, you weren't a real hunter. And I couldn't grow that beard if I wanted to, you know, but it's funny to say that, but it was in my mind, or that's how it felt. Like, if you weren't Duck Dynasty, if you didn't look like that, you weren't a duck hunter. And now I realize that's really silly, but that's kind of how I had it in my head, and that's why I was so afraid to be different. All the way back to grade school, man. I grew up in the country where, you know, the school I like to joke about is like, you were either a cowboy or a football player, or you were, you know, that nerdy kid that sat in the corner by himself. And I definitely was not a cowboy or a football player. So I got bullied all the way through school. Kids are mean, you know, and that really doesn't change as you grow up. You know, it just depends on the atmosphere or the place you're in. If you dress like this and you're on stage, you're another guy on stage that looks like he's supposed to be on stage. But if you're, you know, in a business setting and you look like this, or you're in a hunting setting and you're knocking on a farmer's door covered in tattoos on your face, then, you know, it's hit or miss on how it's going to be perceived or accepted. Like the tattoos, man, they all have a story. That was a big part of the music side of things, is you have to look like the job. And now my job has changed, but my looks are permanent, so just roll with it. We wanted to do something completely different. We wanted it to be our style, dark, moody, you know, didn't want to walk into a Bass Pro Shops. From the very beginning, I've set out to be different, to have a brand that was different, to have a brand that was marketable to everybody, not just hunters. Yeah, people work really hard for their money. I care about their experience. I want them to have the best experience, go home and tell their friends, their family, and come back the next year and again and again and again. The biggest thing driving me is my family. I've got this amazing opportunity. I've been blessed with this opportunity, and I don't want to ever take that for granted. I want people to appreciate everything that's gone into it, whether that be the fashion, whether that be the tattoo influence in a sense. Like, I'm not telling everybody to get tattoos in a duck blind, but that is who I am, and I can't hide from that. So I've taken, you know, this story, molded it into a brand that represents me in the best way that I can represent me. I am Cadillac.